look who's back from the grave. Though I'm super excited to see that Hytale is alive and well, there's certain games on my radar that I avoid any media coverage on if I'm planning on doing a blind playthrough. Hytale is one of those games, so I won't be borrowing any opinions from other internet personalities, and I won't say much beyond what I already know from occasionally following the project's development and hearing its developers speak. All to say, Hytale is a miracle. Oh, and Terraria 1.4.5 has officially released, so there's that too. What a time to be alive though, am I right? We live in a timeline where Terraria 1.4.5 and Hytale are taking up space in the overarching conversation concerning the state of video games. Simultaneously, that something uniquely special is happening here, and it raises a blue moon opportunity for a much deeper discussion that I don't want to go to waste. Do you all still remember that one developer? The one guy who tried to get out in front of Baldur's Gate 3's smashing success back in August 2023? I kind of want to get into that too, so keep that dude in mind. Originally, I considered pitting both games against each other, Terraria and Hytale, judging the good, the bad, the adorable, and then deciding a unanimous winner. But I think that's the wrong play here. Instead, there needs to be a clear and definitive canyon-wide distinction between games like these versus the current AAA field. There's a certain manner of developer in which you can be confident that they plan to pack their IPs with as many great mechanics and good ideas as they possibly can. But then there's others with a nearly limitless budget who'll do just enough to get by, but try and sell features back to you later. Feature complete. That's the word of the day. And boy, oh boy, are we ever going to get into it. It's crazy to think that we have marketing terms like this now. I'd like to think that a $70 game would be feature complete. And I certainly don't mind an ambitious early access game being $30 to $40. But this weird space we were in only a few days ago was baffling. The excuses were allowed to fly free because it felt like almost everyone was in on it behind the scenes. Even fellow gamers came tossing their hats in the ring, fighting against their own best interest. I'd love to hear the excuses now. What could they possibly have to say for themselves? Do you honestly believe that any company trying to sell you microtransactions in our current economy has your best interest in mind? Seriously? Here's something to consider. I know for a fact that Hytale is getting more POIs as the game develops. It'll obviously improve the exploration. Both the devs and audience know this. It's not even a question. But with a game like Starfield, there's over 1,000 planets where it thematically make the most sense, but I have no clue what to expect. In fact, I'd love to hear from loyalists if this is a feature they expect in the near future. That's the spirit of this discussion, really. Why are we settling? We have the choice of knowing where exactly our fan-based dollars are going with one type of developer, or arguing with the other kind of developer over how hard games are to make, how we as gamers don't know as much as we think we do about video games, followed by delays, excuses, and the silent treatment. But they say, never attribute to malice what can adequately be explained by stupidity. So, which is it? This isn't one of those questions you can sidestep either. Not now. As a brand loyalist, even if you defend a AAA game like Starfield, you still have to admit that it could never be called a feature-complete title. It was missing established hallmark features at launch. The Trackers Alliance faction itself is proof of this, with its incomplete mission board. The addition of the Rev 8 is proof of this, as an Explorer Society having no ATV to go on Safari doesn't make any logical sense. The newer exterior maps are proof of this. The mini star system search engine mods are proof, and the newer difficulty sliders are proof. I could give 20 more examples, but it's quite obvious that anyone defending the AAA space is just lying at this point. It doesn't even matter why they're lying, because better days are ahead of us. we can leave them all behind at the top of 2026. By the way, I was recently chatting with a Starfield content creator that was going through a rough patch with the game itself and her audience for quite a good while. Believe it or not, after soft boycotting the creation store, using the Nexus instead, and chasing off the opportunists trying to sell their overpriced mods to her community via curated reviews, her humor is sharper, her video quality has improved, her mood is better, her spirits are higher. It's almost as if life is just better without microtransactions. Ha! Who'd have thought that? Anyway, you remember that one dude again? Zalavier Nelson Jr.? Mr. Don't go trying to use Baldur's Gate 3 as a measuring stick for other games, dude. Well, what about Hytale and Terraria 1.4.5? If not, what games are we allowed to use as touchstones? How do we decide with confidence which development teams have the player's best interest in mind and which ones don't? Considering the state of affairs, I'd hope we're asking these kinds of questions often. And no, developers like Bethesda aren't making the kinds of games they'd want to play themselves, because no one wants a title screen trying to sell you something new every time you boot it up. So that's an objectively false claim by them, unless you're a gambling addict, a masochist, or a compulsive spender. See how much easier it is to expose the frauds when you have a clear model example to draw a comparison to? Why are you including things that we clearly don't want in our video games? I don't want a storefront or virtual shopping mall in my single player experiences. Could it be more obvious that it's simply because you don't have my best interest at heart? I'm just asking. I oftentimes hear people claiming it's not that deep. Could this simply be the case here too? Greedy corporations doing greedy corporate things? The end? Like I said, I'm just asking.